Hello, mobile people. I am very excited to greet you on behalf of mobile people community. We are so very excited to meet you at our Mobile Z Days conference. This is the conference organized by mobile people community of people in love with mobile technologies, both native and cross-platform ones, engineering and testing. Starting right now, we will share these 3 days, nights of mobile development related topics from our greatest speakers. Although the current situation made us switch to the online mode, we do hope that you will enjoy our event. Besides our speakers, during these days, you will also meet our mega professional stream moderators, program committee members, and event organizers. Three in one, you know. These brave guys spent many sleepless nights to make everything happen today. So it's high time for me to thank them and to introduce them to all of you. So responsible for everything to be awesome today will be Denis Tazidinov. Denis is a mobile development advocate with 20 years of engineering experience, among them 10 years in mobile. Denis is a chief software engineer and iOS competency lead at EPAM Systems Company. And of course, one of the Mobile People Talks podcast hosts. So, hi, Denis.
Hi there. We will have an amazing day today with everything for developers, learning, architecture, live coding, and even blockchain. So stay tuned. We're starting soon.
Sounds great. Responsible for the second day will be Artem Bagritsevich. Artem is lead software engineer at EPAM company and head of the Android stream of the Rolling Scopes School. Also, he is one of the community leaders of Mobile People community, and he is in charge of Android stream tomorrow. Hi, Artem, how is it going?
Hi, it's nice. Thank you, Anna. And hi, everyone. I'll be managing the second day of this conference related to the Android. And by the way, don't miss my talk about protocol-oriented programming in Kotlin. So hope to see you tomorrow.
Looking forward to listening to it. And of course, for the third day, Alexander Denisov will take care about. So Flutter stream will be of his responsibility. Alexander is also a mobile developer, yes, with 15 years, more than 15 years of engineering, but only 2 last years in Flutter, because Flutter is not very old technology, yeah? He's the EPAM Flutter competency co-host, Flutter and Dart GDE, and a world-known Flutter evangelist and promoter. And also, of course, Alexander is one of the Mobile People Talks podcast hosts. Hi, Sasha, how's it going?
Are you kidding? World known. Okay. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you all. Our Flutter Day will happen on Thursday, and I'll wait all of you who are interested in Flutter. Welcome.
Yeah, the first day will be interesting for one more event. That would be first ever podcast live show. Well, not the first ever podcast, but rather Mobile People Talks podcast first ever live show. So we welcome you to join in our discussion.
Yeah. We will invite you to. We will invite to this episode some of conference speakers, and we'll talk with them about the most interesting topic today, I guess. What is better, cross-platform or native? And what kind of future is waiting for mobile developers, in opinion of industry experts? Of course, we will answer for all questions of our guests. No. We with our guest answer to all of your questions. Okay.
Yeah. Before we start, I'd like to mention that we are open for questions, and moreover, we have prizes for best questions for each talk. So listen carefully, ask questions, and win prizes. And now let's start our conference with truly great talk on learning. And therefore, let me introduce our first speaker. Vladimir Ivanov is solution architect at EPAM Systems. He's also co-host of Mobile People Talks podcast. And also he's co-host of a podcast with a very long, strange name. I will try to read it right now. It's New Podcast to Final Doc. Yeah, and also Vladimir Ivanov is a kind of great international speaker. So Vladimir, stage is yours.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. Okay, so I hope you tuned in like myself. So let's start. Let me share my screen. And um, okay, two, um, okay. So so okay. Okay, so I hope you see the slides. So today I want to talk with you about continuous learning and how to keep up with the progress. So I want to start with some quote. How do you motivate yourself to learn? You don't stay in shit. So it's a quote from one famous Russian designer, and also I I don't want to mention his name here. I want to name myself. So my name is Vladimir Ivanov, and I want to start with the story of myself and with the story of my career. So uh, how did I enter IT? So I got interested in programming in school, and I started with Pascal and all that stuff. In 10th grade, I read a book about C programming, understood that this is a kind of funny. I want to do this for living, you know, and I decided to go to a state polytechnical university in St. Petersburg. The abbreviature of this university is kind of funny in Russian because it's GPU and it's the same abbreviature for the political government service. So some old folks are still scared of those three letters. During uh, my study in this university, I started working. So I got an internship in a big company and started working with Symbian and Java ME. And in order to spice it up a little bit, I want to show some photos from the times. So you can try to guess what is the name of the company I was holding an internship in. So it's possible just from this photo. I'll give you like 10 seconds. So if you guess, just put your guess in the chat, and I will be verifying it a little bit later. By the way, we have some little lag in our translation, in our streaming. So if you have any questions, just don't hesitate to put them. I will make a stop, I think, in the middle of the talk, and we'll try to answer. If not, I will just answer them after the talk. Okay, so later, the crisis of 2008 came in, and I had to leave this company. So I switched to Java backend. So I was working with Java ME, so I decided that continue with Java would be a good move. So I switched to Java in a small company, and approximately the same time I graduated. Then I got married. So I'll share another photo. So here's my beautiful wife, and we're traveling. We're in London actually. So that was a great time. During this work, Android came up, and I decided that Android is a good option. So to start in another another field of development. So I was kind of keen to mobile development all the time, and Android was new, very simple. It was really easy to start. So I decided that I'll give it a try. Later, I started working with Android as my full-time job, and several years later, like many years later, like 5 or 6, I joined EPAM, and almost the same week I joined EPAM, my son was born. So that was a great time of change in my life. And then I began the public speaking career, and you can find myself, just type into Google Vladimir Ivanov talks on Kotlin or React Native or whatever. You will find me. So yeah, this is a small part of the badges from the conferences I have, but eventually, I just throw them out because they're just memories. So you can just photo them. Okay, so that was a 12 years story of different fields, professional growth, learning, and so on. And those 12 years got me here. So right now I'm a solution architect at EPAM Systems. I'm also Google Cloud certified architect, which is kind of achievement. I got an impact award. So this is an internal award in our company. So it's kind of respectful and comes with a money prize. So I got it twice. As you saw in the beginning, so I play guitar decent enough. So no professional music, but yeah, decent enough. And I also speak several foreign languages, non-programming ones. So it includes French and Spanish. So yeah, and all of this is possible only with continuous learning. So we're learning every week, every month, every year, every day. Why it's important? Let's take a quick look around. So if you try to estimate the amount of information that is available to the humanity and see the forecast how many such information will be in the future, you will see that the information grows like very fast. So it is expected that we as a species will accumulate 175 zettabytes of information. It's a ton. And the most of it will be obtained or generated just in the future. So yeah, and you can object and say, hey, the most part of it is just useless Instagram stories. Okay, fair enough. But take a look at another graphic. So this is about the actual scientific knowledge that humanity possesses. And you can see that this is a logarithmic scale here. So it's not even linear. And we're rapidly obtaining the knowledge, and we do it faster every year. So I need to say that we know more as a species every day, and we do that exponentially. You can say, okay, whatever. I'm just a mobile developer. Why should I care? Well, actually, the same thing happens with the mobile field, right? So just take a look at the API index. So you can find it on the developer android.com. You can choose the API level and see how many packages and classes are available in different versions of Android. So yeah, let's take a look. So you can see that for API level 1, it's almost all grayed out. And if you try to switch them to 15, so some part comes and then I'm switching to 30, and all of them become available. So in order to be a successful Android developer, for example, you need to know the most part of that. So yeah, that requires learning. Another aspect I want to mention is that according to some researchers and to some polls, a lot of people, at least in the US, they understand that they need to learn, they need more training. So what you need to understand about it is that if you don't learn, then somebody out there will learn and will go ahead of you. So they will replace you because they're more knowledgeable. So what you need to do, you need to stop looking at YouTube videos for entertainment and start learning something and start looking at some Coursera videos or other services out there. And you should really care because it's not only like the numbers or somebody else, it impacts your life directly. I would ask a simple question. Are you satisfied with your compensation? So all the salary you get, all the bonuses, perks, something else. Well, I believe the answer for this question for the majority of the people is no. So everybody wants to improve their compensation, and no surprise. So how do we do it? Well, actually, your compensation depends on the three things, and it's not like what I think it depends on. This is actually a research by Korn Ferry Agency, and thanks to a person who gave me that link, I will be mentioning him at the end of the talk. So three things impacting your compensation. So first of all, it's knowledge and skills, basically what you need to know in order to do your job. Second thing is the problems that you're solving during your job. For example, do you implement a business feature, or do you write down the requirements, or do you test them, or do you manage the whole financial department? Do you manage a big pool of people, and so on? So what do you do actually at your job? And the last one is the responsibility. So I think it's clear what the responsibility is. So what you're responsible for. What is about this list? So actually, the bullet number 2 and bullet number 3 is not in your direct control, right? So it depends on the job function, right? But what actually is in direct control of yourself is knowledge and skills. So this is important, and let me emphasize this. Yeah, knowledge and skills is what you can use to directly impact your level of the compensation. And just a little more numbers, so you can compare here the budget for a person of a different position. So you can see that the difference between junior and principal or architect, well, it's several times of a difference, right? So if you want to improve it, you just go learn, just go get some training, or raise above yourself. Okay, I hope this is enough motivation. So right now, I want to talk about how do you learn? Yeah, how do you implement this process? How do you improve your knowledge and skills? And this topic should be started with the structure of the knowledge, of the general knowledge. So when you try to learn something new, or the humanity tries to find out something new about the world that we all live in, we start with some basic things. We start with observations and facts, right? So say we're studying electricity and we don't know about it anything. We start to observe. We see the lightning out there, right? So we discover the static electricity and so on. And those facts, those observations, they group up into the topics. And then when you gather several facts, you can start to create the concepts that can assemble those together. And when you get enough concepts, you can make a theory, right? You can make a generalization and make something that will describe all of that and combine all the facts into a proper mechanism, right? So this is how it works. This is how knowledge of the humanity works. And you can see that there are two halves in this picture. So the bottom part is yellow and the upper part is green. That's because you can't reuse the things from yellow across the fields. So, but the green fields, some concepts or ideas or generalizations, they can be reused. So the more you learn, the easier you learn the new topics, because you can reuse some of the concepts across the disciplines. So that's good. Okay, so what I want you to take from this picture is that you need to know the facts, and you need to know the concepts and generalizations, and to reuse them across. Okay, so you try to learn something new. How your brain actually does that? How you actually get some new information inside your head? How you obtain a new skill? So it appears that our brain is a hardware, right? So, and as any hardware, it has a memory, right? And there are different memory types actually in it. So let's talk about memory. So first of all, we have sensory memory, and this memory remembers how something is felt, like how something hot is felt, or when a bee stings you, how does it pain? So it remembers the pain. So it's sensory memory. Or you see some picture, you see some light, so you have a memory of this information. Another type of memory is a short-term memory, and the last one, I think no surprises here as well, is a long-term memory. So I don't want to talk about the sensory memory. I think it is not really relevant right now. I want to talk about the short-term memory. Has somebody of you saw the Finding Nemo movie? I believe somebody did. So there's a character named Dory there, and she has a problem with the short-term memory. So once she has some new information, she forgets about it immediately, because her short-term memory is not working properly. And yeah, it's and this short-term memory is actually working memory, right? So the characteristic of this memory is that it has small capacity, a really small capacity, and it can retain the information just for a small period of time. And we will talk about it right now. Talking about the capacity. So let's take a step aside. So we're developers, right? So, and we write code every day, almost every day. So do you remember, do you recall what is the maximum recommended number of function arguments? So how many arguments you can pass into a function? You can type the answer in chat as well. Oh, actually, the answer to this question is the following. So it's 7. Yeah, it's maybe more, maybe a little bit less. So it's 7 plus minus 2. And the reason for this, because of the capacity of the short-term memory, right? So we just can't, we physically can't put more items in our short-term memory, and this is it. That's why the recommendation for the function arguments is 7 plus minus 2. So yeah, we covered the capacity, and the duration of the short-term memory is really short. So it's seconds. It's roughly from 2 to 30 seconds, maybe a minute for somebody. So yeah, those are the characteristics of the short-term memory. And why it is important? Because actually the learning process, almost every learning process, if you just have some new experience, or you're learning a topic on how to program an application in Flutter or whatever, it goes through the same process. And the process is the following. So the signal, the information coming to us is going through those stages. So first of all, we have the sensory input. So say you read some text. And then if you're successful, it's stored in short-term memory. If you focused enough and you pay attention to what you read, you're storing that information in the short-term memory. By the way, it works the same with some experience. For example, the same bee stings you, and first of all, you feel the pain, right? And if it's severe enough, you will remember it for some time. And if it continues to be severe, then this pain, this information will be stored in the long-term memory. The same happens during your learning. So if you read something, But if you don't pay any more attention to the text you read, and you don't get back to this text, you will forget it, because this information is not used, so you will just forget it. So in order to actually put it in the long-term memory, you need to rehearse it several times. And we will speak about it a bit later. By the way, speaking about the short-term memory, how many items filled in the short-term memory? I believe you remember it, 7 plus minus 2. Okay, let's proceed to the long-term memory, right? So this is where all our knowledge is stored and where all our skills are stored. And the characteristics of the long-term memory are the following. So we have the duration is minutes to decades. So yeah, we're a wonderful creatures. At the age of 80, we can remember our childhood memories. We can easily recall them if there are no degradation to brain, to the hardware, right? So we can recall them, and this is great. Yeah, the capacity is basically unlimited. So there's no limit on the long-term memory. There are some estimations that it's kind of 500 gigabytes, but practically there are no limits. So there's nothing you can do to bump into any limits whatsoever. Yeah, there are other characteristics for the long-term memory, because it actually uses something that is called encoder. So we just not store the information in a single way. We do it differently for different types of information. So in general, we either go with a semantic encoding or with visual encoding. So you either remember the picture of something, or you remember the meaning of something. So for example, you read a text, you're not storing it as a visual information, right? So you try to understand it, extract the meaning, extract the semantic, and store it as a semantic value. So that's the difference. And actually, long-term memory contains several subtypes under that. So there are procedural, semantic, and episodic memory. So the procedural memory is like a physical memory. For example, playing a guitar, or riding a bicycle, or driving a car. Those are procedural things. So there are this is the type of memory that stores our physical skills, so motor skills, for example. So they are stored as procedural. And the other two types are declarative. So it's a memory of knowing some fact. And it's both semantic and episodic. So semantic is, again, storing the meaning of the information, right? And episodic is storing the context. For example, you remember what you had for breakfast and what was the context of that. So what you've been listening to, maybe some radio, what was the weather, what did you wear, and so on. So this is an episodic memory. So yeah, right now we know that we have different memory types and different long-term memory types. Let's recall what we tried, what we did when we tried to learn something new. So how did you do that? Did you try to learn something by heart? For example, for a poetry, or for a piece of text, or you try to understand it and visualize it and make some translation. What was the more efficient way to learn anything? Well, I know the answer. Actually, the answer is that if you understand the material you try to learn, you learn it better. So your necessity to learn efficiently is to understand something in order to properly store it. And this is the point that we need to talk about how the learning happens in general. So I will make a short break right now in order to check out the chat. I believe everything is fine. So please confirm in the chat that you can see my slides and everything is fine. Okay? I'll wait. Anybody? Okay, so I got a confirmation that everything is fine. So let's just get back. Okay, so how do we learn in general? So there's a theory that is called conceptualization theory, and it describes how the learning is performed within human beings. So let's go through it. So conceptualization theory tells us that there are major three steps in learning. So the first step is the conceptualization. At this stage, you're getting introduced to the new material. For example, you read a book, or you're listening to a video talk, or I don't know, you attend a lecture in the university. So some new information is brought to you, and you try to understand it and remember. The second stage is the construction phase. It means that this new information that you got introduced to, you're using it to build something, to perform a task, to practice. So you say you're learning a new programming language, and you found out this class thing, and that there are constructors, and then you need to write a small program that is using the constructors. And the last stage of the learning is the dialogue, and this is the crucial thing. So say you completed your task, but you made some mistakes, but you don't know it because your program works, so everything is fine. So at this stage, you need to go through the dialogue stage, and to show the program or the result of the task performed to your peers and to the tutor, so that you can get feedback and first of all, remove any gaps in your understanding, right? And then get rid of the errors you made during your practice. Thus, we can ensure that your understanding of the new information is correct and complete. And this is important. So conceptualization theory is actually rather popular, and basically all the new learning materials uses it in some way. So at least they build the process according to those three stages. And the conceptualization theory relies on those important assumptions. So first of all, learning is understood as a byproduct when you're applying some new information while performing a task, while doing some practice. And that understanding should be enhanced by peers and tutors. So without it, it will be incomplete. So summing it up for the conceptualization theory is that you need to learn, then practice, and then get the feedback on your practice. And only then you will be able to properly learn the thing. Okay, so this is the general strategy. How do you learn, right? So you get some new information, you apply it in the practice, you discuss it, get feedback, and so on. Okay, but how do you do the learning itself? So for example, you want to learn physics. How do you learn it? Or you want to study a new programming language. How do you do it? And the answer to this is that you use chunks. And you can think of chunks as small puzzle pieces. So let's say this is a new programming language, and you need to put pieces in it. So for example, how do you write functions? How do you write classes? How do you work with multi-threading? How do you work with networking? How do you work with unit tests and so on? How the compiler is involved and so on. So yeah, you use chunks, and chunk itself is you can think of about it as a concise, small, meaningful piece of information. For example, how to write the constructors in Java or in Kotlin. So something small. Or say you're learning a new foreign language, you can think of a chunk as a couple of words, so a part of the phrase. Or maybe it will be a small idea, say encapsulation from the object-oriented programming. So something small easily understandable, that you can practice afterwards. So in order to learn efficiently, what you need to do, knowing about the memory types, about the learning, and so on. So your goal actually during the learning is to get a chunk of the information, store it in your short-term memory, and then ensure that it is stored successfully in the long-term memory. And this is it actually. So this is the whole idea. This is the whole secret of this successful learning. However, during the learning, we encounter the issues very frequently. There are a couple of major issues. So first of all, it is hard to start learning, right? So you need to learn something because you have an exam ahead, or you want a promotion and you need to study something in order to get it. And then you're enthusiastic for the first couple of days, but then you start avoiding the learning, right? So it's hard to start learning despite the fact that you need to do that to accomplish some goals. Another issue is that it is hard to remember the actual information that you learned, for example, yesterday. I want to tackle those issues and to explain how they can be avoided. So first things first, imagine that it is hard to start learning. And well, let's say you're in front of the computer. You try to start learn something new, but instead you're reading Twitter, you're going through Facebook, you're watching some funny YouTube videos, and so on. So why do you do that? Well, actually, brain is a very energy consuming organ, energy consuming part of your organism, and actually learning is energy consuming. So your brain feels the necessity to learn or to do something as a pain. So it's literally a physical pain to your brain, because it's energy consuming. So brain consumes like 10% of the whole energy consumed by your body. So it's a very expensive organ in terms of energy. So this behavior, avoiding of doing something that you really need to do, it is called procrastination, right? So we all know about it, and we all guilty about it. By the way, procrastination may be a sign of your tiredness, for example. So maybe you're a bit burned out, maybe you need to rest, so please pay attention to this. But if you think that you're healthy, you're perfectly fine, but you need to study and you're kind of lazy, there's a technique that can help. So the technique is called the Pomodoro thing. So the trick of this technique is the following. So well, the first 5 minutes of any mandatory process, say learning, is painful to your brain, right? We figured that out. So the trick is to promise yourself that you will spend only some fixed amount of time on the task. So it's like 5 minutes, or you promise yourself, I will study for 10 minutes and then switch back to YouTube. And the trick is that within the first few minutes, the pain eases and you can continue learning. So the only thing you need to do is just start yourself, and that's it. And the Pomodoro technique helps here a lot. Okay, so another issue is that maybe it's hard for you to remember the information that you studied several days ago, and so on. And another technique can help here. It's called interval reminders. And you can see on the screenshot that this is the screen from WhatsApp. I believe it's a very popular messengers among you folks. And some time ago, they introduced the feature of protecting your messages with a PIN code. And the problem that was introduced to the engineering team that was doing that is, how do you make people remember the code that they invented so they don't forget it? And interval reminders came handy here. So what it's all about. The thing is that, remember this short-term and long-term memory thing. The thing is that if you remind yourself some piece of information over and over again, but with the increasing intervals, it gets stored more efficiently. So brain actually sees that you recall this information, and it makes it ensures that this information stays accessible. So that's why WhatsApp is using internal reminders. So they remind you within, first of all, they remind you the code within half an hour. Then they remind you within 1 day, then within 1 week, then within 1 month. So they're using internal reminders to remind you your passcode. So yeah, you can use that as well. So this is very handy. Another aspect that may affect your learning and your remembering capabilities is sleep. Yeah, it may come surprisingly to you, but actually sleep affects your learning a lot, like a ton. Please pay attention to it. Let's talk about it actually. So first, the statement is the following. So you need to sleep well before you learn something new, and you need to sleep well after you learn something new. Why? Well, there are a lot of studies that shows that, but lack of sleep costs you attention and memory deduction. So let's say you went to a party and you slept only for a couple of hours, and the next day you attend some lecture. So your attention will be reduced a lot because your brain is not relaxed. So there wasn't enough rest for him. So your attention focus will be deducted. So, and when you don't pay enough attention, it is very hard to store the information in the short-term memory, right? So you have a problem at the beginning of your learning pipeline. But let's say, okay, so you slept well, you came to a lecture, but then after lecture you went to the same party, like next day. This is a problem as well, because lack of sleep cause you consolidation deduction. Why? Because actually brains do the following. So let's say you have some new experience, some new information, you attended the lecture, or you rode a bicycle and fall because of some obstacle. You get this information recorded because it's actually associated with the pain. So this is a great motivator to make you remember that. But then you went to sleep, and the brain doesn't store your information in a proper form immediately. So the brain needs the sleep to perform the consolidation process. So to gather all the information, put it in one place, make all the neurological links, and so on. And after sleep, you will be able to properly retain this information. So if you don't sleep, you won't be able to build all those connections properly. So this may be the reason of the issues during the learn. So please sleep well. So yeah, let's sum it up. So in order to learn efficiently across the time, you need to make just 5 easy steps. So first of all, sleep well, pay attention to your regime, to your daily routine, sleep well at night. The second thing is that when you learn something, try very hard to break down the topic in chunks. Don't try to learn everything in one go. It won't work anyway. So you better split it up. Next, schedule the learning sections and practice sessions periodically. So you can use the interval reminders and all that stuff. So you can strengthen up all the links that you made in your brain. Practice a topic several times and sleep well again. So the secret is really this. So this is the whole, tactics to be successful in learning. Okay. So short pause, like for 10 seconds, and let's proceed to the ways how we can learn. Okay, so in the modern world, there are a lot of capabilities, a lot of possibilities to actually learn, and that's great. Let's go through the list first. So of course you have universities right now, so you can go to any university in your city or go to university online and attend some course. Then you can learn during your main job or during the side. Then you can use the mentoring programs, and then use online programs, online courses, and so on. Then you can use professional certifications for learning as well. You can read books, and you can attend the conferences. So let's go through the list and figure out the pros and cons. And let's start with the universities. So yeah, this is, by the way, a photo of the Polytechnical University that I graduated from, and this is the main building, and it's really so beautiful. Yeah. So okay, so what are the pros of the universities? So they're systemic, so they provide you a solid ground in the field. However, there are a lot of cons. So first of all, well, at least in Russia, so I'm speaking about Russian universities. So they're old-fashioned. So they have those old people there that try to teach you the material that they wrote down 30 years ago, and so on. The universities are highly government regulated, and thus they are non-efficient. So there are no KPIs, in the from the learning perspective, and so on. So they just need the students to graduate and maybe make money along the line. As they are government regulated, they are not tailored according to the market realities. So they're not doing they're not providing the actual information that that market demands. And yeah, this is unfortunate. So you may encounter some Android learning courses in some of the universities, but yeah, it's more like an exception. Also, universities force you to pick the specialty right away, and the majority of the people do that at 17 or 18, but this is too early to know what you really want to do for the rest of your life. And this is bad, though. This choice better be suspended a couple of years later. And this is why, by the way, the universities in US are good from that perspective, because they're providing you different options for the first couple of years, so you can try different things and then understand what you like the most and what you're the most successful in. And the last downside is that universities force you to invest 4 to 6 years. So you're committing to something that you're not sure you want to do for the rest of your life for 4 to 6 years. And this sounds like a waterfall, right? So this is not agile. Okay, so done with universities. Let's talk about main job and side projects. So if you're working right now, right? So if you have an employment, of course, you learn something, and you learn something every day, because the IT specialty, IT field, is rather young industry, right? So it's like roughly 50 years, and we discover something every day. And none of our software is perfect, so we need to tackle with issues and so on. So we discover something new every day, and this is good. So during your main job, you may solving some issues with the framework, with the language, with tooling, and so on. Or maybe you're changing the product, and you're doing it with some new technology. For example, you're going from Android to Flutter. So yeah, you learn something new. And the last activity during your job and side project, you could mentoring others and provide teaching. And there's a quote from Richard Feynman. So he's a famous scientist from the last century. When one teaches to learn, so teaching others is a great way to learn itself. However, I conducted a small poll in Twitter among my audience, and it is figuring out that for them, solving tech issues provide the most benefit to their knowledge and to their learning. So yeah, you could use it. So what are the pros and cons of the of learning during the main job and side project. So first of all, you encounter real life problems, right? Then you get the deep insight in the technology. For example, you're you're digging up the sources of the Android platform itself, so you learn a lot how it works under the hood. Unfortunately, no system whatsoever. By the way, it should be a thumbs down, because it's not a systemic by any means. So yeah, this is a downside. And if you stay on the same project for a long time, you may encounter the situation when you don't learn anything more, because you learned everything that was required. So maybe it's a good time to switch to another project and ask for a rotation. Okay, the next thing, mentoring programs. So for example, in EPAM, we have a lot of mentoring programs, and it works like this. So there's a course, there's a number of lectures that you attend. Then you do some practice, and you have a mentor. So some person that that answers your questions. He checks your homework. He helps you with growing, with understanding, and so on. So the advantages of such programs, so they are well thought, because they target the real demand. Yeah, it's a real life demand. They provide you practice, so they provide you feedback. So basically, they do everything correctly according to the conceptualization theory. And they may provide internal recognition. So when you complete the mentoring program, you got a badge, you get something in your profile that is saying that you completed some good mentoring program, and that can help to achieve a project when you will learn more, for example. And actually, it's beneficial for mentors as well. So as I already mentioned. Yeah, the downside of this is mentoring program may be too focused on a particular tech. So say the mentoring program will teach you only React Native, and that means that it will focus on it. It will not provide you a lot of underground basics or theories and so on. So it will focus on the particular technology. And the last one is that it may require significant time, but I think it's manageable, it's stackable. Okay, the next one on online courses. So you're not obliged to attend only the learning materials that your company provides to you. Of course, you can go to any of the online universities out there, like Skillbox, like Udemy, like Coursera, you name it, and attend the courses there. And the great benefit of those courses and programs is that they start to replace the university nowadays, as universities outdated and old-fashioned, at least in Russia again. So those online courses, they replace it, because they provide modern content and relevant content now. They all are fully remote, so you can attend them during your vacation or from your home. So you're not obliged to go to anywhere. So there's no commute and so on. So all the remote perks. Unfortunately, so those courses, they are not really moderated in terms of learning profit. And that means that the benefit and knowledge of those courses and programs heavily depends on the particular tutor, on the particular person that provides the course. But that can be tackled with the recommendation system and so on. And some of those courses can be really expensive. So yeah. Okay, let's go next step. So professional certifications. I'm speaking about the certification that you can obtain from big companies like Google, like Amazon, like Oracle. Say you're Java programmer, you want to be certified Oracle Java programmer or Java architect, or you're studying the backend with cloud, so you want to be an Amazon, AWS certified architect, associate, or professional, and so on. So I'm speaking about those certifications. So actually, they are paid, but the most times you can get the compensation from your employer to pass those certification, and they are very, very valuable actually, because they provide external recognition. So if somebody is seeing that you got certified with these certifications, they can be sure that you have all the skills to really do your job in that particular field. After this certification, you obtain an actual certificate. So you can see an example of myself. So I'm a professional cloud architect. So I was certified a couple of years ago. I need to renew it right now because the technology advances, right? So there are new services, new approaches, and so on. But yeah, this provides a lot of knowledge. Okay, we're reaching the end. So books. So you can see the photo of the last 2 books I bought for myself. So I'm really interested in continuous delivery right now. I'm learning about Apache Kafka at the moment. So yeah, I'm buying the books from time to time. Why? Because books are systematic, so they can provide your 360 point of view on the technology, and this is very good. Unfortunately, there are downsides, like for any mean of the learning. So most of the books are outdated at the moment of the publishing. So it's the same story as with the car. So when you bought the car, you lost like 10% of its price immediately after you left the dealer. So this is the same with the books. When they are published, due to the amount of time that is required to publish a book, a lot of things are outdated. So yeah, this is a downside. But still, books can provide you systematic knowledge on the topic. So if you want to catch up on some particular technology, or catch up, or get introduced in some field, so the book can be a good mean of learning. And the last one are conferences. As we're at the concert, as we are at the conference, so you can see lots of quality content on a conference. This is very good. Conferences are usually filled up with the talks that cover latest technologies, say Google I/O or DroidCon Berlin or Mobile's conference. So they all include the talks on the latest technology updates. So that helps you to keep up. And the last one on the conferences, at least on the offline ones, I'm not sure when we're going back to offline, but it provides a lot of networking. So you can find people that will help you with the latest learning. And I think that's it for now. So I got a couple of other slides. So I want to thank a couple of folks that helped to prepare this talk. First of all, I want to thank Pavel Finkenstein. So his Twitter is here. Subscribe to him. He's a big data tools engineer at JetBrains. So they're doing some cool stuff. Thanks also to Igor Tolstoy for this data about the compensation and all this stuff. So you can follow him as well. And of course, follow me. So I have a site with mobile-related content like React Native, Android, Flutter, all that stuff. So you can see the link here. It's vsevolodovic.dev. I have the same Twitter with the same name. And a couple of useful links. So first of all, please go and pass the Learning How to Learn course. So that will be useful. That will provide the insight on how to learn, aside from my talk. And go and find some course on the udemy.com, and coursera.com, or whatever else, and try to learn something new today. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vladimir. We do not have much questions in our chat, but we actually have one. So let us talk a little bit about before we wrap up, and that probably will be the last question because we are running out of time. So the question is this: so how do you organize information in order not to forget and to return to it periodically? So do you use any tools for that? Apps? Anything?
Yep. So what I use a couple of tools. So first of all, I use the plain notes from macOS. So I just put there some relevant information. That they have a search thing, so that's fine. But it's more like unstructured data. So this is this is not great. Another thing I do is I actually strictly organize all the working and learning materials. So I have, this documents folder, and it is split by the project, by the learning topics, by other activities. So I store the documents there. So I know directly when something is related to some topic, I can go there, recover the appropriate document, and so on. And this is actually very helpful in the solution architect job, because you need to write a lot of documents and read them and present them, so that helps. The last thing that I do, I'm using Notion. So I'm organizing the information about the working materials, some working tasks, the things that I want to do for my site. For example, I support the list of the things that I want to improve on my site. So, for example, add the social sharing, add the mail subscription, and so on. So I do everything in Notion. Yeah, something like that. So 3 tools basically.
Okay. Thank you very much for the talk. And guys, we are waiting for you on our next talk on today's agenda. So we will be talking about the Swift UI. Thank you very much. And yeah, bye.
Great. Thank you very much.